I'm Philippa, one half of Jasper Rocks, and today I'm going to teach you how to make our macrame Christmas trees with gemstones new for 2020. I am just one half, but I will be making an appearance later to do the technical bits with the gemstones and the beads and the necessary wire work that you will need pliers for. But he'll tell you all about that. So, you are watching this video because you've purchased our 2 Christmas tree craft box, or you found us on YouTube and you want to make the Christmas tree. If you've got the materials yourself in your supplies, great. If not, head on over to our Etsy shop to pick up the kit, which will provide you with everything cut and ready for the Christmas trees. We've got 2 samples here. This one is the green jade gemstone Christmas tree. This one is the red howlite Christmas tree, and today we are going to make the gold twinkly crystal Christmas tree. The choice is yours of what Christmas tree you want to make, and you can choose the same for your pair or different for your pair. Etsy will allow you to do that. So I advise you before you start to lay out all the materials. Get familiar with what you've got. I'd also split them into 2, so you've got 1 Christmas tree ready to go and 1 for later, or if you're doing it with a friend, set yourselves up with the materials you need so it won't get confusing later on. In the box you've got, per Christmas tree, you've got 2 lines of 140, 4 of 120, 2 of 1 metre and 2 of 50 centimetres. You also have a cut off of waxed cotton from our jewellery supplies to make the hanger there. You'll also have your chosen gemstones and the bells, 6 of each, 12 in total. You'll also have the wooden ring at the top of the Christmas tree. I advise that it's optional for you to use pins and a cork board or a notice board. Yeah, you don't have to, but it helps. I've made these Christmas tree pinned into a sofa arm or tied to a door handle, anything that will help you make it easier, anything that you can tie it onto. The rope that we're using is Bobbiny 3mm 3-ply avocado, so all natural cotton or recycled cotton, and a really lovely muted green colour. I find that 3-ply actually helps to give structure to macrame, whereas the 1-ply is beautifully soft, but 3-ply is more robust, so the shape will come to life more clearly. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so as a rule we start with the longest cord first, and the first thing to do is take your wooden ring and place it somewhere secure. I'm using a pin board and I've got a needle here that will hold it in place. So you choose what works best for you. So take your first length of 140 centimetre cord, and we're going to do a reverse lark's head knot. So fold it in half, just loop it in half, take the loop end of it underneath the wooden ring, through from the back, bring it over forward, and pull the tails through from the back to the front. And take the second line of 140, loop it in half equally, return to the top where the loop is, feed it under the wooden ring, around, and pull the tails from the back to the front. Pull that tight and move them together. Okay, so we've got our 4 threads ready to start off the tree, ready to go, and we're going to start with a square knot. In jewellery I sometimes call that the flat knot, but it's both. It's a square knot and it's flat. And let me show you how to do this.
starting from the left, take the left string, place it over all the others, get the right string, bring it to the top, bring it over that left one that's crossing, underneath the middle two, and through this area of space here. It's like you've done a knot around the middle two lines. And then you pull that up to the top. Feel free to pause and go back. Pull that nice and taut to the top. So the square knot is a two-part knot. The first part you've just done from left to right, and then you repeat the same action starting with the right, going from right to left. So right over all of them, but then take the left, bring it over that crossing right, underneath the two, and into that hole there. Your two middle strings have stayed where they are. Pull to the top. And that's a square knot. Okay. Now with your four tails, you're going to be doing the double half hitch knot diagonally out to create the width of the Christmas tree. Now we're always going to think of this tree as symmetrical with your center line running down the middle, and we always start the double half hitch knot by selecting our holding string and holding it in the direction that we want to knot. So this string will remain in my left hand whilst we work on the left side. I'll be doing knots in this direction, the direction of the string. So I take my holding string, cross it over the line I'm going to knot it with, bring that string up, throw it over and through the gap. Pull that up, push it up. See how I'm pushing it up with my thumb? I push it up so that it creates that line crossing the holding string, a line perpendicular to the holding string. I then repeat that. So I've still got my holding string here. It's already crossed over the knot, the line I'm knotting, essentially. So this one comes over the top and through the hole. And there's a nice little couplet of lines crossing the holding knot there. Now let's do the same on the other side. So the inner line is always the holding line. Take it with my right hand, cross it over the line I'm going to knot. The one underneath flips over. Do that with my thumb, and I pull it through. Oops, sorry, that's annoying. Pull it through. And then with my holding hand, thumb, I push it up so that it creates that perpendicular line across the holding string. And I do it again. Throw it over through the middle. Okay. Now at this point we want to add some width to our tree. We can't just carry on with two lines. So we take the next line of string, which is the 120 centimetre. So we're on to the group of 4 120 centimetre ropes now. And we're going to do a reverse lark's head knot again. So just like we did at the top, we're going to add some of those to our line here to add some width. So fold it in half. Where the loop is, you're going to knot it onto the outer the outer tail. Tail number 1, let's say. There you go. And that's added. Very similar in appearance. Another 2 lines of knots, so it looks like it's just the same. And we've doubled that side. Take another line of your 120 meter rope, fold it in half, loop at the top under the line you're knotting, loop comes over the top, tails are pulled through from back to front. Pull it tight like that and move it up. So now if we look at our growing Christmas tree, its width is increasing and we've got a load more tails. Okay, at this point we're happy with our first line coming out, and we're going to do another square knot in this space here. So just like there, square knot here. This is where you really have to be careful that you're using the right strings, as now we've got multiples. So identify your 4 inner strings, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, starting from the left. Left comes over. Right is retrieved, comes over that crossing line and underneath through to this space. Hold those firm, if that helps. There we go. Positioning and setting as you go. And then with those same 4 strings, the right comes over, the left is retrieved, and it comes under your middle 2 and through to this space. Okay, lovely. So set all your lines out clearly so you can see them. That helps. And find your center point again. Find your parting. There you go, you've got 4 on each side. So we're coming up to a double line of knots. And it's exactly the same. You've got your parting here. You identify the holding string as the inner left. Hold it in the direction you're knotting. Oh, I must just say, at this point, it is a very handy thing to pin your Christmas tree in place. So at the end of each knotted line, it's really handy to put a pin there and a pin there. It will stay in place and it will also add the shape of a Christmas tree. It will ensure it doesn't get all lopsided, say. So as we were, there's our parting. Holding string for the left side of knots. Take it over the lines. Take the first one underneath. Do it slowly. Throw it over through the hole. Push up, push the knot up. And repeat on the same line. Push the knot up. And then you just lay that one down there. Move on to the next one. You're still holding the same string, the same line of rope in your left hand. So it's crossing over. This one's being brought up, over, and pulled through the gap. Repeat. Lay it down, and the final one, crossing over your holding string, bringing the other knot underneath, flipping it over, pulling it through the gap. 2 knots per resting string, let's call it. Holding string, resting strings. And you'll end up with a nice little relaxed edge here, which is where your beads and bells are going to go. See? Okay, so we've done, it's up to you whether you want to then do the next side, do the right side, sorry, or move down. But let's keep it symmetrical. Let's do the other side first. So identify your center parting again. This is your holding string. You're going in the direction that you hold the string. Cross it over. Retrieve the first resting string from underneath. Flip it over. Pull through the gap. Push it up to make a crossover knot, a perpendicular knot to the holding string. Lay that down. Next one, flip over. There we go, and the final one. See, those pins are helping keep your tree in place. Okay, make sure they're all nice and tight. Worth setting the strings out so you know where you are. Okay. Right, so we're on this couplet of knots, and we've done the first line, and now we're on to the second line of knots that sits close to the one above it. And you'll also notice that it gets longer. We'll get to that in a moment. So now you identify your holding string again. It's not the same one as last time, it's a new one. It's always the inner string. So lift up your holding string, cross it over, double half hitch knot, and pull it up close to the line above. Two from that string, lay it down, next one, over, through, one, two, one, two. Lovely. So you've got the same number of knots. You've got 8 lines across there, but you want to add some more width to your tree now again. So take your next line, your next largest line, you're just working down, decreasing in size with your spare rope, and it's another 120 piece of rope. The same knot to attach it on to your outer rope. Loop it. Loop goes under your outer string. The loop comes over. The tails get pulled from bottom to top. And the appearance of it matches the knots that you've just been doing. Pull it as tight as you can so it's secure. And you've just added on another 2 strings. At this point, you can pin it. There we go. Now we're going to repeat with the other side. Take your holding string from the inner right. You're knotting in that direction. Over the other resting strings. Take the first one from under, flip it over, through the gap. Push it up. One and 2. Next. One. 2, final one that you have already, 1, 2. Time to increase the width of your right side. Get your final piece of 120, that group of 4 strings. Fold it in half, loop comes under the outer right hand rope, pull it down to emulate another double half hitch knot. Push it up tight, position it so it looks like a knot, and pin that in place. Okay, looking good. Right, now that we've done a double row of knots, it's time to do another square knot. So identify the inner 4, move the others away, left over, right, brought up and under and diagonally through. Hold the inside knots. Or if you can manage it around the pins. Yep. There we go. It's about as high as it will go. The other side. You'll pick up the knack of doing this the more you do it. See how I did it there? I didn't need to lay it out exactly. Muscle memory kicks in. There we go. Make sure it's all pulled tight. That bit's pulled tight. That bit's pulled tight. Okay. Okay, so now it's time to knot the next couplet of knots. And this first row to the left and the right will be to repeat the same number of knots as the row just above. So identify your parting, your middle line, take your holding string for the left, position it in the direction of knots. You're going to go over the top and the next line underneath and through the gap. 1 and 2. Lay that one down. Next. 1 and 2. Next. 1 and 2. Don't pull it too tight. Allow for this negative space here, so you can really see clearly the pairs of lines, as is the design of this tree. Next. 1 and 2. Finally, 1, 2. Make sure the knot's tight, but be careful not to tighten this line too much. That should still have a nice curve to it, if you can. There or your left. Now do your rights. Holding string held over the rest. First one comes up underneath, over the top. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, last one, 1, Okay. Now the second row of knots for each side that lie just underneath the first row. Holding line is brought from the center. One. Two. One. Two. One. Two. One. Two. One. Two. Now it's the second row of a duo of knots of a double line. So we take the third out of our fourth rope, measuring 100 centimeters, loop it in half. The loop comes under that final string. The tails are pulled up and then towards you. Squeeze them together. Push up. There we go. Now time to do the knots on this side. Pop a pin in that side if you like. Inner right is your new holding string over the top. Inner strings brought over and not pushed up. But you're all smashing it by now. Totally got the hang of these knots, right? Leave me a comment, let me know. Final piece of 1 meter length, fold in half, loop, goes under the outside right line of rope, pull it down towards you. It's a reverse lark's head knot. That's what a lark's head knot looks like, the right way around. You recognise it? But this way it just looks like another double half hitch knot. Great for adding on lines in your macrame work. Okay, so we've done our duo of knots. Time for a square knot. Identify the inner 4. Oh, try to do a pin that side. Straight through, I think. Hold it in place. So your left comes over the inner 2, the right goes over the left and through that space there. Pull up as much as you can. Oh, that was me. There we go, let's move this up a bit. And then the other side, right comes over, left underneath. Doesn't matter if those twist, but try not to. Okay. Identify the center. So we've just got 2 more rows now of knots there. Let's go. Left holding string up. Remember to push up the knot, don't just tie it like that. You need to get this loop with your thumb, push it up. That was 1, right? 2, yep. But no knot is set in stone. If you found yourself having made a mistake, just unravel a bit, take it back. Last one. Okay, lovely. Where's my center point? There. Holding string. Okay. Now the next row, go back to the left and just do exactly what you've done. These knots can be pulled quite tight. Don't worry if these ropes seem a little short. We're nearly at the base now. There we go. And for the final time, well, penultimate time, but final row, you're adding in some width. And this is just a 50 centimeter length because that's all you need now. Loop side goes under the final string, loop comes up and over, tails are pulled down towards you. And move it up. There we go. Move the left side out of the way, holding string towards the right. Off you go. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Add your final 50cm rope. There we go. Push that up. Now, we've done all our slightly diagonal, there we go, knots, creating that Christmas tree shape. All we'll be doing to finish it off really is creating a base, a horizontal base. So what we can do to help us get there is a couple of square knots, and they're actually alternating square knots. We do 1, 2, 3. So the first step, identify the inner 4 pieces of rope. Left, don't worry if they're getting short. Left, over the middle, right, over the left, and through that space there. Hold the middle down. Position as you go. There we go. And because we're doing alternating square knots, we actually take the right hand 2 from the knot that we've just done. See, here's our 4. We take the right hand from the knot that we've just done and the next 2 next to it. So these will be the 4 that we're using for the square knot to the right. So it just makes them a little bit closer and a nice triangle shape. Keep the knots straight, even though you're working from a diagonal line here. Pull each part of it taut. Okay. And now you go back to these left hand strings of the square knot that you've done at the center, and you take these and do a square knot with the next 2. So you'll be using these 4. Okay. There we go. Okay, so you can envisage that a horizontal line to finish off the Christmas tree will be easier to position now. Do any final bits of placing. You can either stick in a further 2 pins if you like. I might do 1 there, 1 there, hold out your corners, or even that side just to hold that together. Lovely. Right, we create this lovely chunky set of knots from outside in, and it is a double half hitch knot, but it gathers each resting string and pulls it along as it goes. You see, there are no tails here, they're all gathered and collected in and brought to the center. Let me show you. So your holding string positioned in the direction you're going to start knotting. So it's the outer left and you're knotting from outside in. So again, just the same, you hold the holding string over the knot you're going to pick up, you retrieve that, flip it over in the hole and push up the knot so the knot is perpendicular, crosses it, crosses the holding string, I should say. Okay, and all the knots, as much as you can, will cross the holding string in that way. And just like before, you do 2. You do it twice. Here's where it's different. This resting string does not get laid down, it gets gathered and it joins your holding string. Okay, if you think it's a bit too bulbous at the bottom, just twist it under, but that will all get hidden in the end, don't worry. Pick up your next resting string, flip it over both, because your holding string is now increasing in size. Pull it very tight. And again. Pull it very tight. Oh, I nearly forgot to pick it up. Don't lay it down, pick it up. And the next one. Around all of them. This will take more positioning. Try as you can, as much as you can, not to have any gaps with your row of knots. But really, it doesn't matter. This is a rustic Christmas tree. Okay, that's that pair done. Pick it up. Here it gets a bit fiddly. Just make sure your knotting string goes around all of the holding strings. And you don't accidentally pick up the wrong one. Around all of them, use that finger to feed it through. Make sure that pins in securely. Okay, next. It's all right where these resting strings are still quite long. That's helpful. 1, 2. Pick it up. It will require lots of setting work from you. 1. And it will get just a little bit harder as you get nearer the center. You can do it. One. 2. Now you'll notice that some of these strings, picking that one up of course, some of these strings are quite short and it really doesn't matter. You don't have to attempt a knot with that. Might get really fiddly. So it really doesn't hurt to just skip that one. And by skip it, I mean just pretend you've done the knots and add it to your growing pile of holding strings. Okay, no one will notice. And then here's another nice, oh no, that's from the other side. Make sure you still know where your parting is. This is the last one from the left side. Over we go. And around all of the holding strings, holding them in place. Okay, there you go. We'll return to that. We're going to do exactly the same with the other side. So your holding string, because we're working in this direction, take it with your left hand in the direction you're knotting, and each of your resting string tails here will be knotted over twice. Start creating that horizontal line with the knots and gather. Join each one into your holding knots, holding strings rather. Okay, pick that up. This goes around all of them. And again, round all of them. And all of them. I'm going to reposition my pin so it holds it down. There we go. That's much better. Where are you? That one. Next one. Two. One, two, right. Let's just see if it's worth doing any more knots. No, you know what? I don't think it is. They're pretty much met in the middle. If you're happy with it, if both sides look equal to you, you see it's really quite bulbous now. It's a lot to work with. And we're going to wrap these tails anyway. So you won't even see if a few more resting strings haven't been knotted round. All right. So the final bit of the rope knotting is to create a wrapping knot that will hold these tails together. And I'm actually going to do this style of wrapping knot I did on our jade tree, as it doesn't require any more rope. You don't need it, you've got all this lovely rope here to use. So take what you think is one of your longer ropes, okay, that's sort of to the side. For example, this one here is a long one and it's on this right side here. Okay, position all the tails in place as you're going to gather them. What you need to do is bring it out to the right wide. Take it under the back, so you're circling the whole thing, but you've still got this space here. Bring it round, and what you're going to do is you're going to thread the end of it through this loop, like that, okay, from back to front. And it's going to hold the wrap in place, okay? Pull on it as hard as you can. Lifting it up if you need, because it looks quite nice if the knot's to the side, okay? Just like that, see? And then you repeat it. It's the act of two that holds the knot in place. If it was just one, that wouldn't be secure enough. So just by doing one more, keeps that wrap in place. So you brought it out wide to the right, you've gone underneath, round and in the loop. Pulling it in all the directions you need to make it taut and nice. Now I don't really want to reduce the length of that tail anymore. I want my tail to be quite long, so I'm going to pick another long tail. Let's go with this one. Bring it out to the side. Okay. Underneath, with a lot of leeway on the right, up and inside that loop from top to bottom. Pull it tight. If it doesn't look like this, just rewind and see what you've done wrong. Go back, no worries. Remember, you have to do 2 for it to be a good secure hold. Okay, I think that looks really nice. Position. I think it's a bit more decorative than just that wrapping knot. Okay, and if you want to leave it there, you can. You can carry on with knots, perhaps using up your longer strings. But I'm going to leave it there with just 4. Which means all that's left to do now is to cut your tail. Now, if you want an even cut, but they're all the same length, obviously identify your shortest tail and cut there. That would look really good. Or you can make them all a bit more mismatched, which I've done there. That one was planned mismatched, that one wasn't. I've given you all longer string than my first prototype. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a clean cut where they're all the same length. So you're my shortest tail. Nice sharp scissors, she says. There we go. Ta-da! Tree done. Remove your pins safely. Please be careful with the pins. Oh, goodness me. Crystals are just bursting to get used. I have to wait for own. Okay, needle safely to the side. Ta-da! Okay. Whilst I've got you, let's tie the wax cotton to the top in order to hang it on the wall, hang it on a garland, make bunting with the 2 of them, hang it on your tree. So what I'm going to do is a normal lark's head knot where you feed through the tails. Bring the loop round, pull. There you go. Nice knot at the top. You can pull it to reduce those ends or cut it, up to you. There you go. Right now with Owen's hands to complete the Christmas tree with the brass bells and the gemstones of your choice. In your box there'll be 12 gemstones, either 12 all the same or 6 of one kind and 6 of another for the 2 trees that you can make. We will have set up the gemstones so that they already have the brass rig inside ready to go, and so then all you need to do is put them all together with another set of brass rings, just like on the sample here. Okay, let's go. Over to you, Owen. So he's opening up one of the larger rings, feeding on the bell, and feeding on the stone. Yep. Jasper can also be heard. He uses 2 pairs of pliers. So if you have that, do that as well. There you go. First one done. Onto the other side. Open up a brass ring. Slot on the bell. And the gemstone. And onto those loops that we left on the side of each couplet of knots. And it doesn't matter which way round you do them, because if the gemstone's not at the front, you can just retrieve it from the back of the tree and pull it round the other way. Give it a go, you'll know what I mean. Last one. There we go. So that is the Christmas tree with sparkly gold crystals that will shimmer in the light, and bells. The other option is jade, and the third option is red howlite. You will get 2 in the box that you choose. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Please like it, subscribe it, and comment as to how you got on. Remember to follow us on social media. We are always sharing new products and behind the scenes stuff of our makes and our family life on Instagram. Wishing you all a very Merry Christmas. Bye bye.
Bye bye.